In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, and peace be upon you. It's June 26th and Thursday evening in Pakistan. Among today's most important news, first up is the Islamabad High Court, where the political temperature was quite high today. Yes, I am talking about the unpleasant incident that took place between the workers of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, its members of parliament, and, along with them, the cabinet members from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Honestly, it would have been better if this unpleasant incident hadn't happened, but at the same time, it also shows that whether it's the parliamentarians or the workers, you can see anxiety and distress on both sides. The reason for this is that Imran Khan is not getting justice, and the continuous approach of cornering Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf. The Islamabad High Court, where today Imran Khan's bail and sentence suspension application was supposed to be heard, is being very effectively delayed and prolonged by the judges of the Islamabad High Court. So, there was a court inside, I'll mention that to you as well, but outside, between the workers and parliamentarians, meaning the gathering outside, the workers raised loud slogans. The videos we are seeing and the reports we've received from the ground clearly show that the slogans were about why the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa budget was passed so quickly. You already know the background to this. Imran Khan had said that before passing the budget, he wanted to meet with 5 people. He wanted them to come, brief him, and explain how the money for Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which is meant for public welfare, is being prioritized and on which things, and in what manner. Imran Khan had specifically emphasized that this budget should not be passed without meeting him. Then everyone saw that, all of a sudden, on the 23rd, the budget was passed within just 2 to 3 hours. There wasn't any significant discussion or process followed in that way. In fact, the most surprising thing is that even before Punjab's budget was passed, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa's budget was passed, despite Imran Khan's directions. Now, in this whole situation, obviously, the workers are extremely anxious and angry. Today, in this context, the workers raised loud slogans there. In response to these slogans, there were also Khyber Pakhtunkhwa's members of parliament present, among whom was a member of parliament who is also a cabinet member, Mina Khan Afridi. He has been a very influential worker and leader in our youth wing, our student wing, and is hardworking, but at the same time, he is also quite emotional. I have worked with him, so I understand his temperament. When the workers started chanting slogans, naturally, he also responded, and the situation became so unpleasant that it almost escalated to a physical altercation. It would have been better if this hadn't happened, but on the other hand, at least it's making it easier to gauge the temperature of the situation, as it's clear that the workers are also reaching the limits of their patience. Now the workers are also feeling disappointed, and of course, when workers get disappointed, they always hold their leadership responsible for it. So my advice here to the leadership is that since the budget was really passed in such circumstances and through such a process that it would have been better if it hadn't been done this way, my considered opinion on this, which I have repeatedly shared with you, and even before the budget was passed, I shared it on party forums and with you as well, is that this budget should not have been passed. No government would have fallen because of this, no one would have been disqualified. Whatever lawyer is saying this or whoever is trying to sell this narrative to our party is doing the wrong thing. It absolutely did not have to happen this way, because a temporary budget could have been passed. There are examples of this all over the world, and I covered them in detail in my vlog. And not just in my vlog, I provided all that data and documents to the current leadership of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf as well, and requested them to pass the budget for 15 days or a month under a stopgap arrangement and then consult Imran Khan again, because this was a matter of political perception, a matter of Imran Khan's hold over the party. On the other hand, my personal analysis and, in general, the generals wanted to give the perception that they had already sidelined Imran Khan. After that, you also heard statements from his sisters that yes, Imran Khan has effectively been sidelined. Anyway, what happened in court today should not have happened. I keep saying this, But I would say this also brings bad news for the coming days, that in the days ahead you might see more unrest among the workers and within Parliament. It would be better if this doesn't happen. I keep saying we should hold on to patience, but with the current temperature and the kind of news coming in, the way Imran Khan is being kept inside, there is a lot of unrest among the workers. Along with that, it is also the leadership's duty to always give confidence to the party's rank and file. When we make such decisions, like passing the budget overnight and that too before Punjab, then obviously the unrest among the workers will increase and unpleasant incidents will occur. Then Ali Khanum has also spoken, and Asma Khanum, Asma Nareen, who today gave the statement that the messages are statements of Imran Khan that we share after coming out. Now, to attack the credibility of Imran Khan's messages, some people inside and outside the party are saying that his message was not conveyed properly to the outside world. She said this is absolutely false. Whatever message we sisters receive, we share it outside. This is actually an attempt to attack Imran Khan, an attack on his credibility. I completely agree with what Ms. Asma Khan and Ms. Nareem Khan have said, that there is absolutely no reason why his sisters would twist or misrepresent anything. What interest could they possibly have in this, except that they want their sister to be released as soon as possible? Let me present the next news to you, and it is from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, where the Chief Minister of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Mr. Ali Amin Gandapur, has spent an additional 450 million rupees from the Swati funds. The news tells us that 5 crore rupees had been allocated for this purpose, but he spent an additional 45 crore. Out of the total, 5 crore had been set aside for this work. He spent an extra 45 crore, making it a total of 50 crore spent within the financial year. According to the documents of the current financial year's budget, the Chief Minister of KP spent 50 crore from the discretionary fund, even though only 5 crore had been allocated for this purpose. According to the budget documents, the money spent by the Chief Minister from the discretionary fund was used for things like entertainment, gifts, and other expenses under his discretionary fund. Generally speaking, whatever he has done, whether it was right or wrong, he himself would know, and he is the one who has to answer for it. For example, the budget for the Chief Minister's house for next year has been set at 38.5 million rupees. But as for the money being spent from his discretionary fund, I would just say that Imran Khan does not approve of this practice. I have been his spokesperson, I have also been his chief of staff, and I have seen that even the amount allocated was used much less than that. He believed that this is the nation's money and every single rupee should be saved. So, I can only advise the Chief Minister that this fund should be used in the same way Imran Khan used to use it, as that would be much better. Because setting aside 50 million and then spending 450 million is absolutely not in line with Imran Khan's way of doing things. Let's move on to the next news. The next news is about the DG ISPR's visits to schools and colleges. Perhaps they're being called preaching tours because he is trying to change or influence the students' minds there, giving long sermons. Today, he had an incident because it wasn't at a university. It was a school visit, maybe he wasn't even expecting it. A student directly asked him, "DG Sahib, you talk a lot, but why aren't you releasing Imran Khan from jail?" And then it was as if someone had pressed DG Sahib's buttons or provoked him. He got angry and delivered a speech that lasted about 35 to 40 minutes. In that speech, listeners say there was hatred, arrogance, pride, and some things that really shouldn't have been said, things we could call inappropriate or unpleasant. It would have been much better if such things weren't said in front of the children. Anyway, DG Sahib also seems to be following the same approach that's common these days. The more you speak against Imran Khan, the higher you rise. In the previous blog, we shared with you the situation regarding the federal law minister, Form 47, and what he had done. The next news is a sad one, and your prayers are needed. Kashmiri leader Shabir Ahmad Shah, who is imprisoned in an Indian jail, has been diagnosed with cancer. Shabir Ahmad Shah has been held by the Indian government since 2017. There is a law there called ED, similar to the one our Chaudhry Sahib uses here in Pakistan. The ED has been used in a very dreadful way in India as well. Remember, even the chief minister of the Aam Adni party, Kejriwal, was arrested under this law. These days, efforts are also being made to take action against Rahul Gandhi and his mother under the same law. Just like NAB is used here, over there Modi is using the ED. Under the same ED, by accusing him of money laundering, the separatist leader or Hurriyat leader Shabir Ahmad Shah has been arrested and kept imprisoned in Tihar jail. It has been more than 8 years now. He is very ill, and now he has been diagnosed with cancer. I request all of you to please pray for Shabir Ahmad Shah, that may Allah grant him complete health so that he can return and lead this movement again. The very latest and most significant news that has come to our attention and is now prominently displayed before you is the remarkable statement made by our esteemed Defense Minister. Just yesterday, he unequivocally declared that, in his considered opinion, no individual on the global stage is more deserving of the prestigious Nobel Prize than President Trump. Therefore, it is with great sincerity that congratulations are indeed in order, not only for President Trump himself, but also for the entire Pakistani establishment, which includes, of course, the highly influential military generals. Furthermore, congratulations are also extended to our current regime, the government presently in power. This is because, regarding those individuals whom you, the current authorities, are actively nominating or considering for the Nobel Prize, well, it is now clear that they should be allowed to proceed with their endeavors and aspirations without hindrance, as their recognition is seemingly being championed by significant figures. Now they are calling Netanyahu the most civilized and good person, repeating it over and over, and saying that all the cases and charges against him are unjust and should be withdrawn immediately. The next news is very interesting, and it is related to Iran. Now, Rashin, who is the foreign minister, has made a big revelation. He said that the international agency, the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, whose actual job is to monitor atomic energy all over the world and to ensure that no country that doesn't have an atomic bomb is making one, and for those who already have them, to make sure their atomic bombs or any nuclear material is secure, and that there is no radiation leaking from it. In short, this is an agency related to atomic materials. Obviously, in this context, under the United Nations and different understandings, they also visited Iran's nuclear facilities. But now, the foreign minister Rashin is saying that, in fact, all that information was leaked to Israel, and based on that information, Israel carried out those attacks and tried to damage their nuclear facilities. Now, if this is true, and there is a chance it is, because the foreign minister Rashin could otherwise be sued for defamation, but if this is true, just think about it. A watchdog, an authority whose job is to regulate things, instead of regulating, is actually leaking information. And look at the extent of the damage Iran has had to suffer because of this. Now, the Speaker of Iran's parliament, Mohammad Bakr, has also said in a statement that this International Atomic Energy Agency has leaked all our secrets to Israel, and that's the reason we've had to suffer this loss. He has called this a criminal act and said, after this, who can trust them, and in the future, who would obviously give them access in this way. Along with this, the Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, for the first time since this war began. After 11 or 12 days, for the first time, he has surfaced. A video message from him has come out in which he said that we gave Israel quite a tough time. In fact, he said we inflicted defeat on them, which is why America had to intervene. America saw that Israel had become very weak, that it could not face us alone, or that we could inflict greater damage on it, which is why America stepped in. Anyway, he said that whatever has happened, first of all, he congratulated the Iranian nation on their victory, and along with that, he said that if Israel attacks us again, we will respond even more forcefully than before. This was his first appearance, and obviously, it was an important one because even about him, the mighty America and others were saying that yes, we can kill him if we want to. We know where they are, but for now, we don't want to do anything. Anyway, this was his first televised interaction with his nation or with the whole world, in which he laid out his next course of action. Let's move on to the next news, which is about the situation at the Islamabad High Court that I need to tell you about. The cases against Imran Khan are being handled by Justice Dogar, who was brought in from Lahore specifically so that he wouldn't hear Imran Khan's cases. He is very effectively delaying them. Today again, the proceedings that were supposed to take place there, including the GHQ attack case, have been postponed until the 3rd of July. Since Imran Khan is once again talking about launching a movement, the hearings of his cases in jail are also being prolonged to keep his communication restricted. The hearings for the cases aren't even taking place. New dates are just being given. Even in the Islamabad High Court, regarding the suspension of the sentence, NAB has now asked for 4 weeks. Yes, the very people who filed the reference in the case against Imran Khan, this false case, now, when Imran Khan's lawyers are ready and have been waiting for months, actually for 6 months, for the court to hear the case and issue orders for the suspension of the sentence, NAB comes and says they need time to prepare and asks for a month to get the case ready. Imagine that. And the court doesn't say anything else either. It just tells NAB to prepare in a month and come back. So, what kind of case is this that NAB itself filed, and now they need another month to prepare it again? This means that this is just a technique to further delay Imran Khan's cases. Today, when NAB requested a month's time, not only were they granted that month, but the next hearing date wasn't even announced. Imran Khan's lawyers and his sisters kept sitting in the courtroom, repeatedly asking the judge to at least set the next date now, since you've already delayed it by a month, because if you don't set a date, who knows how many more months it could be delayed. But Justice Sarfraz did not give a date, and ended today's proceedings without announcing one. Now, let's see whether they hear the case after a month or after several months, because generally, this is the usual method. They're delaying it as much as they possibly can. Alright, so in the vast and arid region of Khalistan these days, as you are undoubtedly aware, the weather conditions have become extraordinarily severe and intensely hot. We have been consistently informing you that the prevailing temperatures across various parts of Pakistan are now alarmingly reaching up to a scorching 50 degrees Celsius, and what's even more concerning is that the feels-like temperature, which accounts for humidity and other factors, is uncomfortably close to an unbearable 60 degrees Celsius. This extreme heat has exacerbated an already dire situation, leading to a profound and severe water shortage throughout Khalistan. Tragically, as a direct consequence of this critical lack of water, so far, 2 precious lives have been lost in this desolate area. The local inhabitants, who are deeply reliant on the land for their sustenance and livelihood, found themselves in an incredibly desperate predicament. Unable to locate any accessible sources of water, they were out in the unforgiving landscape, diligently grazing their valuable livestock, be it their sheep, their goats, or their sturdy buffaloes. When their limited water supplies inevitably ran out under the relentless sun, they made a valiant and desperate attempt to reach a nearby location, fervently hoping to discover some much-needed water, but their efforts, heartbreakingly, proved futile. Thus, to reiterate, 2 residents of Khalistan have, regrettably, succumbed to death due to the absolute and critical lack of water. In the entirety of this distressing and unfolding situation, it is undeniably and obviously incumbent upon the Sindh government to take immediate and decisive action. At the very least, their fundamental responsibility should be to ensure the provision of essential water to the suffering populace. Of course, it is acknowledged that the population in Khalistan is widely dispersed across a vast geographical area, making centralized distribution challenging. However, despite this logistical hurdle, they could certainly establish several central points or designated locations to effectively arrange and manage the supply of water there, ensuring it reaches those in dire need. But instead of actively addressing this critical humanitarian crisis and fulfilling their basic duties, the Sindh government, or more specifically, the People's Party, appears to be preoccupied and busy with criticizing the administrative bodies and governments in Punjab, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, KP, and other provinces and regions, rather than diligently focusing on and addressing their own pressing internal issues and the severe problems faced by their own constituents.